Hello, friends. Today we are going to make a welcome baby cake. I was given this order by a friend, and I thought I will video record this for you all. It would be a reference for me as well. So, as you can see in this welcome baby cake, there is a baby face, and we will first see how to make the baby face. So first, I'm going to take a small piece of fondant and tint it with brown color. I used Chef Master brown food color gel and kneaded the fondant really well. Kneading the fondant is really crucial to give a smooth effect, and then roll it thin. I took a thermocol ball and then um, applied some Crisco vegetable shortening over the thermocol ball for the fondant to stick to it properly, and then I placed it over a cupcake mold and draped the thermocol with a rolled out brown fondant. I smoothed the fondant or the face of the baby using a ball of fondant. This is the easiest method to smooth it out. Now for the next half, again rolling the fondant thin and then applying the rolled out fondant over the thermocol piece. Now to give a smooth, proper finishing, trim off the excess. I tried to smooth it with my finger, but then I thought it is better to smooth over the silicone sheet. Now to make the nose, I'm taking a small ball of the same colored fondant again and trying to make a round triangular shape, somewhat a triangular shape, but not perfectly triangle. Now this nose will be stuck onto the face using some water. Apply some water so that it sticks to the fondant. Next, we are going to make a bow. So for that, take white piece of fondant and then roll it really thin. I tried to cut off a piece in between and I'm rolling it in a rectangular shape. Next, take a blue colored fondant and roll it thin as well. This is for the polka dots on the bow. And I'm also going to make some pink polka dots as well. So rolling a pink fondant also. Now roll out the white piece into more rectangular shape and cut it to get exactly rectangular shape. Now you can make it into cut it into half, but before that let's cut out some polka dots using piping tip. I had some round piping tips and I used it for cutting out the polka dots. So if the polka dots are sticking onto your piping tip, you can dust it with corn flour, as you can see I was doing, and then you can cut off the rounds. Now let us take back the rectangle shape back and then cut it into half. Now I'm going to somewhat fold the center inwards and then the sides outwards to make the bow, and then join both the ends to the center. But then I realized I forgot to stick the polka dots, and then sticking the polka dots on the bow using some water. You can use a paintbrush, which is not a fresh paintbrush, for sticking the dots. Now, to keep it proper in place, I rolled it out a very light way. Now, as you can see, I folded the center inwards and the sides outwards. Now, at the other end, also you can do the same way. Fold the center inwards and the side outwards. Now, join both the ends and stick to each other using some water. I'm trying to flatten the ends. You can use your paintbrush as well, or you can cut off the excess using a knife also, which I will show you in a moment. Now you have to leave this to dry out. Now I made both the halves as well. As you can see, I cut off the excess or the ends to flatten it. This will help to stick to each other in a proper way. Now keep it aside to dry. Next, take a thin piece of fondant, and you can also cut this as well into rectangular shape. Now I'm going to roll it a little thicker. Uh, this will make the center of the bow. Pasting some polka dots on this as well to give the effect of a bow knot. Cut it into perfect rectangle and then do the same thing I did for the bow. Fold the center inwards and the sides outwards. Using some more water and to keep the bows in place, this bow knot will help you. Now to keep the bows rounded, insert a piece of tissue paper in between the bow and leave it to dry. I suggest you to make the bow at least a day in advance so that the bow has enough time to dry out. Next, take another piece of white fondant and roll it out thin. This will make the bow tails. Make two pieces of bow tails exactly the same way and place again some more polka dots over it. Now only one end you will pinch to make the bow tails. Next, we are going to make the baby pacifier or soother. So trim one side of it straight and the other you can make it a semicircle using a cookie cutter. Take a very small piece of fondant and roll out a thin snake out of it and then trim the ends to give a perfect finishing. Check if the pacifier fits the baby face and then place the thin piece of fondant over the pacifier. To give more detailing using the fondant tool, I gave some dots around the pacifier. We had the polka dots that we made earlier, and since it's a baby girl, I placed that pink dot over the pacifier to give it more effect. Using some water, I am placing the pacifier over the baby face. Next, I took two balls of fondant, one black and brown in color, to make the baby hair. I kneaded it really well till I got a single shade. Once the kneading is done, take the rolling pin and roll it out thin. If it is too sticky, you can dust some corn flour. Now I'm going to cut off a triangular spiral shape triangle with spiral ends and give it a detailing using fondant tool again. Now take out this hair and place it over the baby face. Adjust the alignment as you wish. Take another piece of brown fondant, the skin color fondant, and cut it into somewhat oval shape. Flatten it a bit and make 5 lines using fondant tool. Cut the lines from using a knife. Using your hands, make the tips a little bit pointy. So this will make the baby fingers. Take a 6-inch thermocol piece to make the baby box lid and apply Crisco to it. Now to drape the cake, I mixed some purple fondant with the white fondant and kneaded it really well. I took a small ball out of it and flattened it using rolling pin. You can use a big rolling pin. I used a small one since I did not have a big one and it was giving marks or lines over the fondant. But it's okay, you can flatten it later. Rolling a thin piece of pink fondant to cut out the baby name. I'm cutting out some polka dots, more polka dots as well. This will go over the lid. Also, I had some ready-made blue hearts which I placed over the cake lid. Now, I'm rolling out the remaining purple fondant and I'm rolling it out really thin. As the client is not so fond of fondant, I kept it thin. First, I cut off a 6-inch round that would go on top of the cake, and then I rolled out a rectangular shape. Now, I took the measurement of the cake, and then using a measuring tape, I cut the exact amount of fondant, and that went over the cake. Then I trimmed off the excess. The 6-inch piece went on top of the cake. Now I'm transferring the cake onto another cake board and smoothing the edges using a fondant smoother. First, I made a piece of pink fondant for the letters of welcome to go over, but it wasn't enough, so I flattened it a bit and then I embossed it using an embosser tool I had. Then I placed the letters of welcome over it and pasted this template over the cake. I drew eyelashes for the baby as it was a baby girl and blushed it using pink petal dust I had. I placed a toothpick over the cake to fit the baby face. Then I played around with the lid to keep it in perfect alignment. The lid was either too high, and I played around figuring out which was the perfect way. I placed the lid over the cake using a toothpick, and then when I finally got it right, I placed the bows over the lid. I'm rolling out a thin snake of fondant and pushing it inside my pearl mold. When you pull out the beads from the pearl mold, be careful so that you will get it in a single stretch without breaking it. Now finally, I'm placing the remaining polka dots and the heart shape I had and arranging the letters uh, over the cake board using some water. So finally, here it is, guys. A welcome baby gift box cake to welcome a newborn. I hope you liked the tutorial. Please give a like if you really enjoyed watching this video.